There are so many different areas you can choose from in the Denver metro area. What area fits you? So in this video, I'm gonna discuss 4 different cities I lived in and give you guys example or explain each city and who I think is for. So you guys stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. So if you clicked on this video, it's a good chance that you're planning to move here to the Denver metro area. So if you haven't already looked and watched my other videos after this one, go and do that. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share any video that you find that is helpful for you. It might be helpful for someone else. And if you guys are looking to buy, sell in the Denver metro area, don't forget to utilize the number below, because I would love to help you guys out with that and get you guys going and, get you pointed in the right direction. So let's talk about it. I've lived in 4 different cities here in Colorado. First one being Fort Collins, second one being DTC, Denver Tech Center, the third one being Centennial, the fourth one being Aurora. So I'm going to go through and talk about each city so you guys can get a good idea of how each city is kind of set up, maybe who it's made for, who would do well there, and depending on what your number one goal or number one must have, hopefully this will help you narrow down, okay, that city sounds more so where I'm at in my life, or that city is kind of what I like, So the first one, let's first stop was Fort Collins, so let's go there first. So as you guys know, I graduated from Colorado State University. That's how I ended up here in Colorado. First stop was Fort Collins. And like I said, Colorado State is there. So if you know anything about a college in a small town or a smaller city, it's most likely kind of a college town that like to party. So I would definitely say Fort Collins is one of them places. They have their parties. They have, different activities, and you have like the Undie Run and all kind of stuff down on campus and around campus. But one of the great things that I feel about Fort Collins is a lot of that stuff kind of stays there on campus or around the campus. So if you're more on the outskirts of Fort Collins, are you heading more towards Windsor or, one of the outskirts, one of the cities on the outskirts of Fort Collins, you probably wouldn't even run into a college student. The chances of you running into a college student is probably very low. So as you get into the middle of Fort Collins and you're around campus, you're going to see a lot of college activities and students and all kind of stuff. So 100%, it just depends on where you live at in Fort Collins. And one of the great things about Fort Collins is that it's one of the cities that I've seen that growing pretty fast. It's probably one of the fastest growth I've seen in a city. And I'm not just talking population, but I'm talking the building up, new buildings going up. The campus looked totally different from when I graduated. I graduated in 2015, and a year or 2 years after I left, it was totally different when I came back. So you're talking 7 years later now, oh man, the campus don't even look the same. It looked totally different. And then around the campus don't look the same. If you guys know about Old Town down in Fort Collins, that don't look the same. They rebuilt so much stuff and so much different things going up. A lot of construction. It's a lot of construction throughout the whole state of Colorado. But that's definitely one of them cities where you go back and be like, oh man, this is totally different. It's not the same, but it's for the greater though. And everything is, it's beautiful. The campus have new buildings built on the campus, so it's definitely a beautiful city, nice city. And I would definitely, if you're not a college student, I would advise you to be on the outskirts, towards the end of Fort Collins, to kind of get away from all that madness. But if you like to party and hey, maybe you just fresh out of college and you still want to consider yourself a student, you can get them in all of it. You can be close to campus. It's a beautiful campus, beautiful area. Old Town is very beautiful. Different type of stores and restaurants down in Old Town, which is basically right next to the campus. Um, and they have everything there. You have your Walmart. They have like 2 or 3 Walmarts. What's that? Sam's Club, Costco. So anything you can think of is there. It's definitely a functioning city. It's not like a small city that doesn't have nothing. They have just about anything there. Is it's growing. So it's pretty sure it's over 100,000 people there for the population. So it's not this small place, but it's a smaller city, but you got anything you need. So definitely a place to be if you're still young, or maybe you're looking for a job on campus. I will advise it. And I have friends that still live close in that area, in the Windsors, the Greeleys. So when we go down and and visit them, I always kind of look around and kind of see what's new. And I do sell a lot of real estate down in that area as well. So I am down there a lot. So it's cool to see, knowing that I went to college there and it's growing and it's looking different. And so after college, I graduated and moved back to California, moved to Sacramento, and ended up moving back to Colorado. And the first stop that I came to once moving back was the Denver Tech Center, DTC. And it was a great area. I love the area. I tell people all the time, it reminded me of a small downtown. It's a lot of high rises. But it's a business area. So many different businesses in that facility, in that region, in that section. It's very central. It's not too far from Aurora, not too far from the airport, not too far from Centennial, Lone Tree, Park Meadows, not too far from Cherry Creek, Cherry Hills, Inglewood, Greenwood Village. I mean, it's very central. It's south of Denver, but it is extremely central. If you live here, you can get just about to anywhere from this area. So who is this area for? This area is for my young professionals. So it's crazy that I went from Fort Collins here to DTC, DTC being the second city once I moved, back to Colorado, because I feel like that progression is college, young professional. So I went from a college town to area where there's a lot of young professionals. There's a lot of business opportunities and jobs, and this is like where the economy thrives. So if you're a young professional, you're looking to maybe start in a new position or with a new company, or maybe you about to move, you're looking for that second position, that you're looking for that second step. This is a great area. You find so many different businesses in this area. So it's a good chance you might be commuting into this area. You might not necessarily live in the area, but you might commute to this area. It is a smaller area in the sense of housing, and it's a lot of high rises, condos and townhomes. So the housing is not abundant of, but you also got to keep in mind too, it's more expensive in this area as well. So it's a great view living in the high rises, but you're going to spend some money. So you might not necessarily live in the DTC area, but you might live right on the outskirts or commute into the DTC area. I definitely enjoy my time during Christmas. They bring out the Christmas lights. So beautiful, so beautiful. And at night they have a DTC sign that stay lit during the nights. So it's different colors. Got a waterfall. You got so many different great restaurants. You got Shanahan's on literally one side of the street. On the other side, you have ADV's, which is my personal favorite restaurant in the state of Colorado. You have Ruth Chris literally up the street. You have Papados that's up the street as well. So you have so many different restaurants. You have different little areas, pockets, areas. You have apartments. You got a great amount of apartments too that are not necessarily high rises, but you have a good amount of apartments in that area. But it's a nice area. It's growing. They're building over there as well, and they just kind of touching up on some things. But I loved it over there. DTC was a great area. If you're coming in to visit, it's a great area to get a hotel in. Like I said, it's very central, so you can hit so many different cities and learn about different cities. Cherry Creek Mall is one of the biggest malls here. And then you have Park Meadow Mall, which is a big mall as well. Bunch of eateries at both places. And man, it's 10, 15 minutes. Park Meadows is 10, 15 minutes south of DTC, and then Cherry Creek is about 10, 15 minutes north of DTC. So you have this great location where you can just about anything. And then Cherry Creek High School, which is probably one of the most famous high schools in Colorado. Great sports, great academics. So that's like a big school here that's located right in the DTC area, right there. So, you might probably heard of Cherry Creek, definitely for their football and their sports. So who is DTC for? Young professionals, like I mentioned. If you're young, or you ain't got to necessarily be young, but if you're in the profession world, you're looking for a great job, looking for a great job, or you just want to be around business-minded individuals, DTC might be best for you. It's more relaxing. It's not like a downtown, but it looked like a downtown. I say, to me, it's like a suburb mix with a downtown. You have a downtown feel, but you have a suburb feel as well. It's not extremely crowded. It's just hardworking professionals. Definitely one of my favorite areas in the state of Colorado. So after DTC, we end up moving to Centennial. Another one of my favorite places. Centennial's, I actually done a video on Centennial. I did a couple of videos on Centennial, kind of explaining the history of the city. It's a fairly new city. It was created in 2001. It was kind of a mixture of different cities. And you can tell it's the way Centennial layout is overlaps in other cities. It's next to Parker, next to Aurora, it's next to Inglewood, it's Greenwood. It's next to any and everything. It's not too far from DTC. It's about less than a 10-minute drive. And then if you get off on County Line to your right, is Centennial. To your left is Lone Tree, then Highlands Ranch. So it's literally a street, one of the main streets that separate these three cities. And it's right next to the Park Meadow Mall, which is a nice mall. So many different eateries here as well. You got Fogo de Chao. Man, anything you think of is here. They got a steakhouse in this Centennial where we lived. It's also being built up as well. They was building more apartment complexes. They were expanding, I want to say, the light rail. There was so much building and construction going on around us. Literally in our plot of land, there was 3 other plots. It was all, things being built on. So it's crazy on the setup too of the cities here in Colorado. The way they have Denver set up is weird. Back home, if I jump on 80 and I'm coming from, say I start from Sacramento, and then I start on Sacramento, I hit 80. I get on 80, I'm gonna hit Davis, I'm gonna hit Dixon, I'm gonna hit Vacaville, I'm gonna hit Fairfield and Vallejo, then San Pablo, Richmond, Berkeley. I can go veer towards Oakland or San Francisco, and you kind of know what city you are in and what county you are in. Out here is so different because you can literally be in one city, turn a block, be in another city, and be in a whole other county. So it's very important to pay attention to your address, what's listed, and what county you got, you are in. Because literally up the street is one city and that's a whole nother county, so the layout is extremely weird. Or you can be at one part. So if you call me like, hey, I'm in Centennial, I'm like, okay, I'm in Centennial too. Where you at? You can be on a whole nother side where you damn near have to go through another city to get to where I'm at to get back into Centennial. So The layouts are crazy, are extremely crazy. So you always got to look at the map, and I mentioned all of this because this area is one it's that area where things kind of get crazy. Centennial is, oh man, since it was kind of made up of these different areas, it kind of wraps around other cities and stuff. So you can kind of get confused. So you definitely got to look at your map, look at your address, and kind of see where you're located in what part of town, what part of the city. So definitely keep that in mind when looking at these cities. And then the last city I'm gonna talk about is Aurora, Colorado. I'm pretty sure you guys heard a lot about this city. It's one of the main cities here. I think it's third on the list as far as population. Third biggest city. You hear a lot about it. And the great thing to me about this city is the diversity. It's the diversity. If you love being around other cultures, other ethnic groups, and what they have to offer, the food, it's amazing being around other groups. You learn a lot. You learn from different cultures, and you have different culture options when it comes to food, markets, and all kind of stuff. So I love Aurora for that. Aurora remind me of a city that could be in California, just from it being diverse and many different cultures being here. It's different parts. Some parts look better than others. Some parts are better than others. But at the end of the day, you have so many different cultures, ethnic groups that's in this one melting pot. And if you was raised like this will be a perfect city for you. It's central. All these cities, for the most part, is kind of central, except for Fort Collins because it's way north. But everything else is central. You can get to other places. The airport is basically located here. And then they're doing a lot of building in Aurora. A lot of new builds in near the airport. And beautiful homes, nice homes. There's a lot of land out there that they taking advantage of and placing people there. So if you considering a new build, this might be one of them areas that you look at because you have so many opportunities and so many different builders and designers that's here in this area that's building in this. So when people call me and ask me, hey, these are the things I need, these are the things that are important to me, and then when they say, hey, diversity it's a must, I'm gonna point them to Aurora, Colorado all the time. Not just because the numbers say it, but you're gonna feel it when you come into town, drive around. You're gonna see exactly, hey, this city is so many different types of individuals here, and I can feel it, see it, and I know it. It's not one of the places where they say, oh, it's these X amount of people here, X amount of these people here, X amount of these people here, and you're like, whoa, I don't feel it, I don't see it. Here you go, like, yeah, I definitely feel it, I definitely see it. Like I told you before, I own a food truck, and when I get a lot of my spices and stuff, I'm coming down to here. This is where I'm at. I'm going to certain markets, the Mexican market, to the Asian market, way more food options, different culture food. I'm not a big fan of the food here in Colorado as a whole. So, it's a goal, or it's a good thing when you can find some good food, different cultures, and there's people doing the other cultures justice. So, yeah, I definitely would say if you're looking for diversity, Aurora is here. That is the place, 100% hands down. It's the place you need to be. If diversity is like number one on your list, a must have. You love being around other groups. You want to raise your family around other ethnic groups and races and stuff. So you definitely need to pick Aurora. And that's going to be your best bet. Because as you kind of get away, no matter which way you head in, north, south, east, west, from Denver, it becomes, it's not as diverse. So looking for diversity, I would point you to this direction. So there you guys have it. I discussed the 4 cities that I've lived in, with each city being totally different from each other. And I think that's great because now you guys can get an idea of, if I'm looking for, maybe I'm a young professional, DTC might be where I want to go. Diversity is important to me. Aurora is where I want to go. I'm young. I'm still partying. Fort Collins is where I want to go. And then maybe I'm just looking for a nice settled area, great, great shopping around me. Centennial is where I want to go. So hopefully this video did you guys justice. You now have an idea of some cities that might work for you guys. And if you guys are looking to buy or sell in the Denver metro area, utilize the number below. Once again, I'm Lorian King.